Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Policies here, and welcome back to a brand new show. So this show is really just kind of more like a podcast and kind of why I think there's a major possibility on why Donald Trump can win this election, and if he wins, how he will win, and what that kind of shows where America's going. Pretty much when Donald Trump first began running, I didn't really take it seriously, and I think most people didn't either. He's this funny guy, a really, at some point of time, a really well-liked guy, who ran The Apprentice. He was really funny. I used to watch his show a lot. I learned a lot about business by watching it. It was always funny when he would say, "You're fired," and kick people out. And it was so cool to see this super rich, tall guy running this big, successful business. That's what I knew him as. And of course, at that time, most of us really didn't dig into his history. We didn't really look into, his past accomplishments and failures. We just knew him as the guy from The Apprentice. And he was really good at that. It was like the top show. I mean, I would watch it every week. People would set up like little lemonade stands, and they would do little things, and Donald Trump would help them out and criticize them. At the end of the day, fire somebody, and it was a great show. And that was the main thing that I knew about him. Of course, my grandparents, though, and even my parents, 'cause I'm in my 20s, they know Trump way before that, and they remember him launching his airline. They remember him setting up Trump Tower. They remember his weddings. And they've pretty much said, hey, this is the first time you're getting a taste of Trump. But they've been familiar with him for many, many years, over 20, 30 years at least, since Trump was in his 40s and 50s. So it's been a long time. And they've kind of always known what kind of guy he was, which is, a businessman, a real estate man, a New York real estate mogul who got a lot of money from his dad and who helped rebuild New York skylines, and who also took a lot of chances with this money in casinos in New Jersey. That's kind of what they knew him as. They didn't really think he was a bad guy. They didn't think he was a good guy. They just thought he's just a corporate guy. He's just a guy trying to make some money. So me and my generation of millennials, and we saw a different side, right? We saw the side of Donald Trump in The Apprentice, which was awesome. I mean, it was a great show. So when he ran, it was kind of okay, it was kind of funny, and I don't think many people took it seriously, and obviously the Republicans didn't take it seriously either. The media didn't take it seriously because, he ran also in 2012, right? And he got washed out pretty quickly. He just, he couldn't compete with the Romneys, and I don't know really what happened to him at that time. I think that he just wasn't getting much publicity. At that time, the Republican Party kind of already chose Mitt Romney as their man. He was kind of like the way that Hillary Clinton kind of chose this year's. Like, she was kind of destined from the Democratic elites to be the chosen woman. It's the same thing that happened in 2012. Mitt Romney was going to get it no matter what. And before he even started running, he already had all the money behind him, and he had a lot of money himself, and he had all the connections. So Trump, just at that time, really didn't have an opportunity to break through. But he still kept his name in the media, right? I mean, he still was setting up different hotels, and his name was always appearing in the newspapers occasionally with his different political opinions and whatnot, which is cool. I mean, a lot of business guys keep their name in the media. They put their opinions out there on what the politicians are doing. So when he ran again last year, when he was coming down in the stairs, with people waving, I was thinking, okay, Trump's doing it again. That's cool. He'll probably catch some headlines, and he'll get his name out there. But and I think he'll probably get enough name recognition in which he might end up making some money out of it, right? Because at the end of the day, you get some great name recognition out of it. So when he was coming down the stairs, it was like an exciting moment. I was thinking, okay, this is going to shake things up a little bit. He's going to bring a new flavor to it. because at that time, the other Republicans that were running were super boring. Jeb Bush, nobody likes the Bush family anymore. George Bush killed that. Jeb Bush, I've seen him in the news when he was governor of Florida a little bit. He didn't do too much in Florida. His daddy pretty much put him there. Daddy Bush put him there. And Daddy Bush knows everybody in Florida, so he could get all the funding he needed, and he could get everything he needed to get set up. So Jeb Bush wasn't really exciting by any means. Marco Rubio was interesting, but I was thinking, can Donald Trump beat Marco? I really didn't know. Marco seemed like a little boy. He seemed kind of timid, and he seemed like a newbie. And then I was thinking that the nominee would probably be Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is just, this is what he does. He is what you call the Republican establishment. He is, although he's kind of hated by a lot of people in his party, and he's kind of a douchebag, but he's kind of like this. This is what is going to happen would be him taking over. And he's really good at debating. He's good at raising money. He's good at convincing people that he's right. And I thought the conservative movement would end up, and the Tea Party movement would end up falling behind Ted Cruz. But what happened was Donald Trump started saying a whole lot of crazy things that nobody has said in a long time, things that people wanted to say but just didn't say. And I think the main thing was that really got Trump the free media is when he gave that speech saying Mexicans are rapists, killers, blah, blah, blah. Some are good, but most are not. And when he said that, the whole news media was shocked by this new, blunt, frank candidate that was talking like a normal person and saying a lot of things that people on a conservative side were thinking the whole time. A lot of them are saying, hey, we have an immigration problem. These Mexican people aren't nice. And Donald Trump started to shake it up. After he did that, right after that, his poll numbers started to shoot up. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, I knew he'd get some publicity after that, but I didn't know it'd put him as number one. And then pretty much for the rest of the campaign for Republican nomination, everybody was trying to play catch up with Trump. But all Trump had to do to stay in a lead is do what he always did. It's just say really outrageous things that pick up media attention and put him on the news. And it could be super ridiculous, like when he said he could shoot somebody in Manhattan and he wouldn't lose his poll numbers. Stuff like that really resonated with a new, younger Republican voter segment. That people between 18 to 25 years old that think, hey, it's true, and he's awesome. He's just a badass. It's like a fairy tale coming true. This is some big knight rolling in that can just do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants. He can't be bought off. He's a multi-billionaire, and this is what he's going to do. And when he did that, and when he really kept saying really, people would say outrageous things, but a lot of it kind of truthful stuff. He just put himself in a solid lead that even though at the debates he performed quite poorly and he really didn't give any details on what he was going to do with terrorists and what he's going to do with immigration and the economy, people still loved his frankness. People saw him to be genuine. People saw him to be a real person. Unlike Ted Cruz, he looks and feels like a politician. If you just look at Ted Cruz, the way he dresses, the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he smiles, it's like he's trying to be a politician. And that's all he's ever been, and that's all he will ever be, is a politician. Same thing with Marco Rubio. He's the nice, happy, good-looking guy with a good smile. Pretty much, Marco Rubio is like the Republican, less smarter version Barack Obama. Kind of like how he is. But, there was only one Barack Obama, and he came at the right time, at the right place, during the right candidate, And if Obama was going against somebody drastically stronger than John McCain, who I think was not a strong candidate, it might have been much different for Obama. He went against John McCain, and John McCain's not a bad guy, but he was just kind of old, kind of decrepit. He made a lot of gaffes. He didn't have any really new ideas. And Obama, just by the fact that he was different and inspirational, pretty much put Obama ahead of John McCain. Although Obama really didn't lay out too many new ideas besides he wanted to pull us out the war. His ideas regarding the economy and stuff were completely, there was no ideas. He was only in the Senate for 2 years. He's a brand new guy. So, I was scared a little bit, like, voting this guy in, but he was just so inspirational. It's like, hey, let's roll the Obama train. So, back to Ted Cruz and all them. So, all these guys are, like, standard, typical politicians. They were pretty much, they had their donors, they had their fundraising campaigns, they had their, the whole machinery behind them, right? But Donald Trump, he spent $55 million himself, and he could just look at people and say, these guys are bought out. These guys are not in it for your best interest. These guys literally will screw you to get some money so they can win. Donald Trump was pretty much depicting them all as guys that just want to win. They just want a campaign seat. And recently, with the stuff that's happened with John McCain, it really looks true. So people really felt behind Trump, and he ended up knocking everybody out besides Ted Cruz and Kasich. But when it got to the point where it was going to the Indiana primary, and Ted Cruz said that if he lost Indiana, he would go home, I was already thinking, I think a lot of people were, that there was no way that, there was just no way at all that Ted Cruz is going to win Indiana, or neither was Kasich, because they lost Ohio. Kasich won, and that was his only state, and there was just no way he's going to compete. So it was just really a waste of time for them, and it was good that Ted Cruz dropped out. So now we're at the point where he beats out all of them. This whole NeverTrump movement comes out of nowhere, which was a complete and utter waste of time, and they were trying to throw Trump out because he's kind of a different candidate. He says what he wants, he does what he wants, he'll switch on different issues, he doesn't apologize. And a lot of people kind of like that alpha maleness. So the NeverTrump movement, they kind of had a few people in the Republican establishment, like Mitt Romney and all of them. These pretty much these washout Republicans, these irrelevant people trying to become irrelevant again. And I don't know where this guy came from. It was this guy that has no political experience. This Republican guy, McConnell, he's like this young guy, and he's like white guy he's bald. And he came out of nowhere just in the last month or two saying he's going to compete with Trump. And of course, he washed out really fast. He couldn't even get any money. And I guess Republican establishment, he was like the CIA guy, just pure trash. So after Trump won the nomination, and in the last month or two, Clinton was ahead by a lot. I think it was anywhere from 8 to 10 points. But Trump has been consistently nailing her, and talking about really important issues that people just really want to talk about. Immigration, trade. He is the guy that really put trade and immigration on the map. The other Republicans and Democrats weren't really talking about that. Maybe a little bit besides Bernie Sanders. And then he continued to get more media attention. And then the thing that really, I think, turned this election in his favor was when he started saying that Hillary Clinton might be sick. And then the rest of the Republicans started saying she might be sick. And then the alternative media channels on YouTube and on Fox News also started questioning her, saying that she might have the catheter, she might have mental issues. And then out of nowhere, she gets sick. And she got pneumonia. And then her poll numbers drop, because then all the conspiracy theories look like they're real, or it gives credibility to them. And Donald Trump is winning in Ohio now, and he's tied up and possibly ahead in Florida now. And now Donald Trump looks like he actually has a real way to victory to the White House. And that's great for him, it's great for his family, and it's great for the conservative movement. Because for the last, since he started running, even his own challengers were saying, you, like Ted Cruz, so you could beat me, but you can't beat Hillary Clinton. Well, now Trump is on his way there, and he's ahead. And Hillary Clinton is stumbling, and people can't just seem to like her. although there's these favorable ratings that say Donald Trump is more disliked than Hillary Clinton, honestly, I don't see it. I feel like Donald Trump is more liked than Hillary Clinton. Or maybe it's just that people that like Hillary Clinton don't come out and say it. Like a lot of older people, older black people, older white people that are kind of middle class. They support Hillary Clinton, but you won't see them put signs out. You won't see them talk about it. They're kind of just that low-key, quiet, maybe majority. We'll have to see in November. But Donald Trump supporters are loud. They're very proud of their candidate, kind of the same way that Democrats were for Barack Obama. And that did take him to the White House by a landslide. So although Trump is just ahead a few points, I'm expecting a high turnout from the Republican Party. Really high. I think we're going to see voters that haven't voted for 15, 20 years come out and vote for Trump. We're going to see him mobilize the young, new Republicans, ages between 18 to 23 to 25, get out there and vote for the first time. You know, they didn't vote for Romney. They didn't care. But they might vote for Donald Trump. You know, they like him. And he is, crazy enough, he is bringing over some Democrats over. You're not going to see Hillary Clinton bring over too many Republicans, besides the ones that absolutely hate Trump. But at the same time, there are a whole lot of Democrats that absolutely hate Hillary, right? The Bernie or bust people. And although I think about 70-80% of them have already moved over to Clinton, there's still that 10, 5, 15% of those Bernie or bust people that could shift over to Trump and give him the election, right? Every percent counts, especially in battleground states. And then you have people out there like Jill Stein, right? The Green Party candidate, who's up 5% in the polls, right? She started off like at 1 or 2. Now she's at 5. And pretty much all of Jill Stein's supporters are ex-Bernie supporters who cannot agree with Hillary's warmongering, her corruption, and her constant lies about stuff. They can't accept it. Although their platforms now are quite similar, right? Hillary Clinton and Jill Stein, domestic issues, economic issues are virtually identical now. People just can't get behind Hillary Clinton because of her character. They just can't trust her. And the data kind of shows it. So Jill Stein also may pull, who knows, maybe 7 or 8% of Hillary's potential voters to her side. And if that happens in places like Ohio or Florida or Pennsylvania, and with Donald Trump getting a few other percent, 1 or 2 other percent of the Bernie or bust people, along with a whole new voter turnout, it could potentially be a blowout, right? Hillary Clinton's just not as inspirational as Donald Trump. And the crazy thing is, Hillary Clinton has a whole team, the whole Democratic establishment behind her campaigning, right? You got Michelle Obama, who gave an amazing speech at the Democratic convention, is supporting Hillary Clinton, which was a really good speech. You have Barack Obama, the president, taking time out of his day, which he should be using to protect the country and focus on other issues, out there campaigning on behalf of Hillary. You have Joe Biden, the vice president, doing the same thing, right? You have, who else is out there? Mark Cuban, right, the billionaire guy. You have Warren Buffett, who campaigned a little bit. And you have Bernie Sanders out there campaigning for Hillary. You have Elizabeth Warren campaigning. They all have to kind of substitute for her lack of inspiration and lack of trust. Unlike Donald Trump, is pretty much out there by himself. Literally, Mitt Romney's not out there helping him. John McCain's not out there helping him. Paul Ryan's not out there helping him. Ted Cruz didn't even endorse him, right? He's out there alone and he's keeping up. In fact, he's ahead. He's beating out the whole Democratic convention right now, right? He's beating out the Obama, the Sanders, the Warrens. He's beating them all out by himself, single-handedly. It's actually quite incredible. And I although I'm personally not a huge Trump supporter, I think it's amazing he's been able to do that. And it's amazing he's been able to acquire this kind of attention and kind of support that, frankly, nobody 2 years ago would have suspected. Nobody 1 year ago would have suspected. that he would gain this type of traction and gain this type of support. So if Trump keeps up this momentum, heck, you might see President Trump sitting up in office, chilling, doing his thing, building that wall. So yeah, it was great hearing from you guys. Leave your comments below. What do you guys think? Is it going to be a blowout or not? If you guys like this, I'll go ahead and do more podcasts, just feelings on election. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.